Hey there, 6th grade. This is our last video in our unit over multiplying and dividing fractions, and in this last video we'll talk about how we divide mixed numbers. If you already know and feel comfortable with how to multiply mixed numbers and you are feeling comfortable with how to divide fractions, then we're just going to take those two things and put them together in order to do the types of problems you'll see in this video. So when you're dividing mixed numbers, the same is true as when you're multiplying. Your first step is always to change all mixed numbers to improper fractions before you do any sort of division. Once you've changed your mixed numbers to improper fractions, then it is division as normal. Remember, when we're dividing fractions, we have that phrase, don't you fret, don't you cry, flip the one you're dividing by, which means you're flipping the second fraction in order to make it its reciprocal. And then once you have the reciprocal of that second fraction, you multiply like normal. So for example 1 here, I have the mixed number 1 3/4 divided by 2/5. Again, watch carefully how I show my steps and how I do my work, because this is how I want to see it when you go and do your homework. So your first step is to change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. As we can see, my first number is a mixed number, 1 3/4, so I'm going to make it an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, so this becomes the improper fraction 7 over 4. I'm going to leave everything else alone and just do this one step at a time. So the second fraction 2/5 is just going to remain 2/5 for a moment. So now this becomes the fraction division problem 7/4 divided by 2/5, which looks more like the problems you saw in the last video. Now, I'm going to do my second step, which is flip my second fraction. When I flip my second fraction, I get its reciprocal, which is 5 over 2. And then also in this step, I need to change my division sign to a multiplication sign. So this becomes 7/4 times 5/2. Okay, now on your notebook paper when you're doing your problems, I still want you to keep on going down, but because I'm running out of room here, I'm going to slide over to the right. And so my next step is going to be to multiply like I normally would. So I'm going to take my 7 times 5 for my numerators, and my denominators 4 times 2. I look for any opportunities up and down to cancel, and I don't have anywhere I can cancel on this one, so I'm just going to multiply straight across like normal. 7 times 5 is 35, over 4 times 2 is 8. So I get the improper fraction 35 over 8. Improper fractions always get changed to mixed numbers at the end, and so 8 will go into 35 4 whole times. You're left with a remainder of 3. So this becomes 4 3/8. Number 2, we have the improper fraction the mixed number 3 1/2 divided by 1/2. So again, step 1 is to any mixed numbers, change them to improper fractions. So 3 1/2, 3 times 2 is 6, and then plus 1 will give me 7 halves, so 7 over 2. And then again, I'm keeping the rest of the problem the same for this first step of work, so we're dividing it by 1/2. Now in the next line, I'll show my next step, which is to flip my second fraction. So 1 over 2 becomes 2 over 1, and now I change my division sign to a multiplication sign when I do that. So now I have the multiplication problem 7 halves times 2 over 1. Again, on your paper, I want you to keep on going down vertically, but I'm running out of room, so I'm going to slide over here. In the numerator, we have 7 times 2. In the denominator, 2 times 1. This time, I can cancel because I have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. 2 and 2 are both divisible by 2. So if I divide each of those by 2, I get a 1 and a 1 in their place. So this now becomes 7 times 1 over 1 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7, and 1 times 1 is 1, so we get 7 over 1, which just becomes a whole number, 7. Okay, for number 3, we have two mixed numbers that we're dividing. We have 5 and 1/4 divided by 2 and 1/3. So again, same step as what we've been doing. We're going to first of all change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So my first mixed number, 5 and 1/4, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. I get 21 over 4. My next mixed number, 2 and 1/3, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, so I get 7/3. Again, notice I have not changed my division sign. It's staying division. And I haven't done any flipping yet. This is typically where I see a lot of people mess up. Just for your first step, change your numbers to improper fractions like normal. So you have this. Then in the next line, we're going to show how we flip our second fraction, 7/3, and flip it to 3/7. And again, in the same step that you do the flip, change your division sign to a multiplication sign. So this now becomes the multiplication problem, 21/4 times 3/7. So that means in my numerator, I'm taking 21 times 3. In my denominator, I'm taking 4 times 7. I look for opportunities to cancel, and I see on the bottom I have a 7, on the top I have a 21. 7 and 21 are both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 7 divided by 21 is 3. So now I've got 3 times 3 over 4 times 1. So I get 3 times 3 is 9 over 4 times 1 is 4. The improper fraction 9/4. To change that to a mixed number, 4 goes into 9 2 times. You get a remainder of 1, so this becomes the mixed number 2 and 1/4. Okay, our last problem is a word problem. So please flip over and let's look at example 4. It says, the soccer team has 16.5 boxes of wrapping paper left to sell. If each of the 12 players sells the same amount, how many boxes should each player sell? So for this problem here, sometimes when you're doing your division problems, it can be difficult to see how to set it up unless you draw a picture. So I would recommend, if you're not sure how to set a problem like this up, that you draw a picture. Okay, and this is true for all word problems, not just problems involving fraction division, but anytime you're stuck on a word problem, a lot of times it will help to draw something to give you a visual. Okay, so let's imagine 16.5 boxes of wrapping paper. There's 5, 6, 7, and 8 boxes. There's another 8 boxes, and then down here we have this leftover half of a box. So what we're really trying to decide is, we're trying to decide if we were to take these 16.5 boxes of wrapping paper and we were going to split them up into 12 different groups, okay, because each player is going to take the same amount of boxes of wrapping paper, and there are 12 total players, then what fraction of a box would be given to each player? So we're taking 16.5 here, and we're dividing it among 12 players. So this is a fraction division problem. 16.5 is the total that we have. We're dividing it into 12 different groups. So this is 16.5 divided by 12. So now that we know how to divide mixed numbers, I know that my first step is to change this mixed number, 16.5, to an improper fraction. 16 times 2 is 32, plus 1 is 33. So this becomes 33 over 2 divided by 12 over 1. In my next step, I'm going to flip my 12 over 1. So that becomes 1/12. And now I change my division sign to a multiplication sign. So now we have 33 over 2 times 1/12. So this is 33 times 1 over 2 times 12. I don't have any place where I can cancel, so this just becomes 33 over 24. To change that to a mixed number, 24 goes into 33 just one whole time. And then your remainder for this problem would be a 9. So this becomes 1 and 9/24. 9/24 though will reduce. If you divide 9 and 24 both by 3, this reduces to 1 and 3/8. So what that means is, let's go back to that picture, that in order for each player, all 12 players, to get an even, the same amount of wrapping paper, each player has to get one whole box and then 3/8 of another box. So each player is getting basically this amount of wrapping paper, one whole box, and then 3/8 of another box. And if we did that same grouping for every single player, we would get 12 groups that looked like this. Every player is getting this amount of wrapping paper, 1 and then 3/8. So again, for a word problem, be sure you write a full sentence. Each player sells 1 and 3/8 boxes. As always, if you have any questions over what we did in this video, be sure to jot those down and then ask those the next time I see you in class. And until that time, have a nice day. You're all wonderful people. Take care.